Welcome to Vegas Live with Ninon. And of course, last night we were doing a fabulous shows at the Heartland Mansion, and now today we're down here at the Peppermill, which we've been here for a couple of years now, and it's absolutely fabulous. We're sitting here in Elvis Presley booth, and I have a policeman with me. Well, he's been a policeman for many years. Well, not too many years, but he's not old enough.
39 years.
39 years. And of course we have Gordon Martinez, but he's running actually for sheriff for the Clark County.
That's correct.
And you just said something to me. You just said you've been running. This is your 8th time to run.
No, the 5th time.
Oh, the 5th time. Oh, I'm making it worse. 5th time running.
That's correct.
So what are you going to do so different this time that you're going to win? Or are they getting used to you being out there and sort of bringing in new ideas?
Well, I've got a lot of ideas that I want to bring to this community, and one is fair and equal treatment for everybody.
Fair and equal treatment.
Fair and equal treatment.
But the problem I see with that is this is a gambling town, and some people win more money than other people. Is that fair? That's not fair. They're all going to win the same amount. I'm just teasing.
You know, I understand that Las Vegas was built on prostitution, on alcohol, and gambling. But there are limits to what those things bring on, and I'm the guy.
Well, they call it Sin City, and they say everything stays in Vegas, but I think that's long time gone.
That's true.
Long time gone, because you've got the building power here is absolutely amazing. I mean, everybody's building here.
Sure.
The population is getting bigger. You've got companies coming into town, so you've got a lot of different things. Is this what you like?
This is what I like, and this is my home. I'll be taking my trail all the way to the end here, I'm sure.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
What I'd like to do, and my goal, is to clean up the police department. The police department, I don't know what's happened.
They stink.
Well, I think it's beyond stink. Okay,
well,
but it's
they hide around corners to try and get a ticket.
Well, you know, it's not the cops. It's not the real cops that's the problem. The problem is the upper police management.
Really? The inside office?
Yes, it needs to be completely redone.
So does it need to come up to date as to what's going on now, or just cleaned up?
It needs to be cleaned up, and some of those people need to go to prison for some of the stuff they've done.
That's a dramatic word.
Oh, you better believe it. And I've been trying to do this for the last decade.
Okay, well, is this maybe the reason why you can't get in, if this is your 5th try? So if this is his 5th try, it means that they're a little bit frightened of you.
Yes, they are.
So they don't want you in.
Well, I filed a federal lawsuit in 2011 against the police department and the sheriff, Doug Gillespie, and 14 other high-ranking police officials. And that went on for 4 years until they got in a corrupt judge, Judge Lloyd George Jr., who dismissed the entire case, citing it didn't have any merit. Okay, so that's the fix.
So are we talking about politics here? It seems like there's a lot of politics involved with the police department and everything, because, I mean, I understand, like I understand Los Angeles. I lived in Los Angeles many years, and I understand, I knew Bernard, and I knew a lot of the chiefs there, a lot of the people there, and I know a lot of the city council there. I know a lot of people in Los Angeles. And I'm not saying it's corrupt, but they all have their own way of doing things and sort of, you know, pushing something to one side so that they don't get into trouble, and something to this side and bring this one up. That's politics, unfortunately. I think Vegas is a little different, but it has the crime. It has the mafia, and they say there's no mafia here anymore.
Oh, yeah, the mafia's here.
I don't think there'll be a Vegas without mafia, but there's nothing wrong with them. I don't think, because I'm not involved with them, but I know they have their own little cliches, their own little stuff. Are you trying to clean that up?
Well,
because I don't think that's going to succeed.
Well, when the mob was here and openly here, they had a motto that they only killed their own. Well, they've expanded in that now they'll kill anybody that gets in their way.
Anybody?
I mean the citizen walking down the street, or the tourist, or anybody that lives here that doesn't conform to their way.
So what gives them the right to do that, and what excuse do they give to actually, you know, commit suicide and what, kill these people? What?
Okay, it's called murder.
Murder.
Oh, yes.
Murder, he wrote.
Right. It doesn't give them the right. It's against the law. But if the police department is corrupt, they'll cover it right up.
So what little secrets do you have that want to come out?
Oh, I've got all kinds of secrets.
I want to know all the secrets.
Well, let's talk about O.J. Simpson.
All right, let's start with O.J.
Okay, did you know that I was the person that arrested him?
No, I did not know you were the, oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah. See, I arrested him.
Gordon arrested O.J.
Oh,
Wow.
yes. Oh, yes. I went to the Palms and banged on his door in the 23rd floor.
Yes.
And he answered the door in his underwear, just to make sure that there wasn't any of the furtive movement stuff, you know, and he wouldn't be shot. Anyway, I arrested him, but before I put him in my undercover detective car, I activated the digital tape recorder.
And he didn't know that was on?
No, no, ma'am, and that's perfectly
Did he
legal.
realize he was in a police car?
Oh,
Or
absolutely.
Did it have actually happened?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hello?
He was handcuffed. He was safety belted in, has the radio. It has all that.
By this time he was dressed, though.
Oh, yes, we let him get
Now,
dressed.
let's just go back a bit. When you went and knocked on his hotel room,
Yes.
was this after the incident?
Oh, yes, this was much after, about a week.
This is a week after the incident.
Yes.
Because I remember it clearly, and I thought he got arrested at the time it all happened.
No, this is
See,
a
this
week
is the
later.
confusion people have because we see the news media, we see it so fast and how it is, we don't realize that this is kind of a week later.
All right.
That you realize there was something wrong going on here of what all the stuff he stole or whatever he didn't steal or did steal or whatever.
He didn't, he felt that his property
It was his.
Was his.
Yeah.
And regardless of the court order, that the property was not his. It belonged to the dealers.
Yes.
Okay, so...
Which was kind of a payoff.
Yeah. And so he basically took it upon himself and his thugs, friends, and they went on over to the dealers at the Palace Station and decided to get it back. Well, that's not how you do things. If he felt that his property was in their possession illegally, he should have come to the police department. We would have gone over there and sorted this all out.
Maybe helped him, but obviously under the circumstances, I guarantee you probably wouldn't have done that.
Probably not, because we know about it.
you already knew that it did not belong to him in the first place, and he
Right.
didn't want to hear that, that's for sure.
Right, and for those that don't know...
Was this a little bit coming back to the murder of his wife, and was
No.
this a little, because a lot of people have actually entangled the two together and say, well, they were trying to get something on OJ to get him in.
Well, you might think that at the end, because there was a lot of stuff that happened.
Yes.
Okay, I activated the tape recorder in the car, and he was very chatty. He wouldn't shut up.
Well,
and
you were happy, though.
Oh, very happy.
You don't recall it.
About all I would do is say, you know, and...
Yeah, of course.
But no questions. See, that makes it
So that
legal.
clears you.
That's correct.
That clears you. So you knew what to do, whereas he's putting his foot deeper and deeper into the pie.
He couldn't put it any deeper.
Wow.
He came out with who was there, who had the guns, why he was there, and then he asked me what his charges were, and I told him robbery, kidnapping, and burglary, and all...
That was a lot. That's a quite long list.
You bet. Oh, and conspiracy thereof, okay? And he went crazy. He went nuts, and he began threatening my life, threatening my family's life, and the whole... This is in the car, and it's on the tape. Okay, so... drive him to my office, and I chain him to a pole in the interrogation room.
Were you ever worried as you were driving? Well, he was in handcuffs, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, were you ever worried in case he suddenly did something? But
Well, that's always the case, but I had about 6 other detectives following me.
following. Okay.
So we're
Now,
okay.
What position did you have at that time? What were you at that time as a police
A
officer?
detective.
You were a detective?
And robbery
You were-
homicide.
You were head of the detective department?
Negative. I'm just a plain old everyday...
Plain old everyday detective. I'm just
Fun-loving.
Get this all. I got everything out. I want it all out there.
Right, fun-loving detective, yes.
That's all. So you
but I've
just
been a
happened-
detective for 16 years
So
in that
you just
unit.
happened to be the one that they put onto this case.
That's correct. They
Were
said,
you excited about it?
not really. He's just
No.
a thug. There's nothing unusual about this, right?
No.
But
Anyway, so you've got him tied to the post now, and the police station is tied up.
right. Well, no, just one wrist.
Just one? Oh, okay.
Okay. And then I read him his rights.
Yeah.
And after I did that, nothing. He didn't want to talk about nothing. Well, it doesn't matter because I have him all on,
I was
on
going to say, you
video.
already had it.
I
It
had
was a
everything.
half-hour trip or something. You made it really long.
I made it long.
You made it really
I took
long.
my time.
You took, yes.
And by the time
The
I...
light was just about to change, you stopped.
Right.
Now you're
But-
going through yellow lights.
By the time I made it to the office, there must have been 20 reporters waiting for me. and the cameras and all that. Now, how did they know that? How did they know that I
How
went?
did they know?
Well, we got a spy. We got a mole inside the police department. Okay? They
this
shouldn't
is
have known.
legal.
That's legal. No, that is not legal.
Oh.
No,
Oh,
that's
so this
part of the
was
corruption.
Not legal.
This
So
is
this
part
is
of the
part
corruption.
Of the corruption
Yes.
of Vegas.
That's right.
So you actually did not want this to come out on the news media.
No. That's not how we
Really?
operate. No.
So you wanted to keep it undercover and giving your own rights and his rights very secret.
Very secret.
And it didn't work that way.
Didn't work that way at all. Well,
This
to
sounds
tell you
like the White House.
Well,
There's a spy in there.
I got to tell you what happened after that.
What?
Okay, I prepared 4 documents. Officer's report
Yeah.
that depicted the spontaneous confession.
Okay.
Arrest report had everybody's name and what they did and all this other stuff. Booking form had all the charges, had my name, my partner's name on the booking form. Miranda rights card had my name, OJ's name, and the transcription of the tape recorder. Okay, so none of that made it to court. And I was never subpoenaed.
So they didn't want you to come in?
No.
So they didn't want you to testify?
That is...
Wait a second, was it testifying against him?
It would have better. Just testifying,
Just
period.
Testify
What happened?
as to exactly what happened in that half-hour car ride.
That's right.
And then why did they not want that in there?
Because the prosecutor, or the DA at that time, David Roger, wanted to use that case as a political vehicle. So it ended up, it would have been maybe a 3 or 4 day case because I had a spontaneous confession.
Yes, you did. You had it all taped.
Instead, it turned out to be the longest, most expensive trial in Clark County's history.
And why did they want to do that? Did they want to give all their people jobs? And did they want to give them all a case? And did they want to drag this on because it was OJ? Oh dear.
Again,
I think this means money.
that
I'm not
means
quite
money.
Sure if that means money.
Money and
David.
political power.
So I
So
think it's more on political power.
David
probably.
Roger was running for re-election. So he took the case. He's the prosecutor. Okay. So they wanted to stretch this out to keep David Rogers' face in the
So
media.
are you telling me that they do this with most cases in...
No, most. Just select.
Select cases.
Oh, yeah.
And is there any other cases you know of that were really this bad?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Can you mention them?
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Okay.
How do you find out? I'm getting all the stuff.
In April, May, let's see, January, February, March and April, there were a series of robberies, kidnappings, and rapes that were going...
This past April.
2010.
Oh, 2010, okay.
2010, rapes, robberies, kidnappings that were occurring, multitude of suspects, but they weren't leaving any evidence. They used masks, they used gloves, they used condoms.
Okay.
So you don't have any trace evidence.
No trace evidence of anything.
You can't even put them there at the scene, not legally. Okay. So I volunteered to help in this because one of the victims was a police lieutenant's wife and 11-year-old daughter who were raped by these animals. Okay,
Yeah.
so there was a big emphasis in
So
finding.
you
these
wanted
people.
to protect this woman and her daughter,
And I wanted
a police officer as well.
Right, I wanted to get involved in this thing. I would have done it for free. I was the most experienced detective in the entire department. They didn't want my help. Why? Because I've learned over the years, whenever they didn't want my help, that means they were going to do some funny business with that case.
So
And
they
did. Oh, they did. Big time funny business. And this is the stuff that would put them in prison if it all came out.
Who would it be? Some of the police officers
Yes.
would go into prison. Well, because they want to avoid that, obviously.
Oh,
all of them want to
absolutely.
do that. Now, what about the October 1st shooting at the Mandalay Bay?
What
Can you tell me anything about?
Oh, absolutely. No, it's speculation.
No. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
But what I have seen and what I've seen come out is like it's like covered up. It's like there's and I know that any photographs or anything that's taken in a hotel is private property. But we're dealing with the police department, FBI. We're dealing with a lot of people that actually can get anything they want.
That's correct.
So I mean, most people know you can't do that with a hotel, but at the same time, I know that you can because of the people involved and all, of course, of what happened to all these. You know, it was a dreadful thing. It was awful. But why is it being covered up?
Well, there's a lot of reasons. One is it's riddled with lies at the beginning. Okay, the timeline was messed up. Who was involved? And I have several sources that I used to have in the police department. I'm retired now.
Yes.
They called me up and told me what's really going on. So I'm getting it direct from those people, right?
Yes.
So here's the deal. Okay, and again, it's allegations, speculation.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Here we have a Saudi prince that is being protected by the SWAT team from this community up in the upper levels of the Mandalay Bay. He owns 2 or 3 floors of the Mandalay Bay.
Okay.
Okay, so our SWAT team is surrounded the Saudi prince and protecting him.
Of course.
Okay,
yes.
so
okay, that's fine.
All right. Well, in a way. Now, why is that? Why do the taxpayers of this community have to pay to have the Saudi prince, who's got more money than, you know,
but he could pay it himself.
He could have an army,
yes.
right? But he wants us. He wants the taxpayers to pay for that protection. So, who asked for that? The federal government asked for that. The federal government, who had probably something on our sheriff, Lombardo, and Lombardo basically said, oh, sure, anything you guys want.
Whatever you want me to say and do, I'll say and do.
That is exactly, he's just a puppet. That's all he is, okay? So, here we have a situation that, and again, the Saudi prince is a target-rich person.
Of course.
Because of what's going on in Saudi Arabia. I mean, you got all the coup going on, so if our federal government wanted to protect him, why didn't they put him on some kind of military base instead of the middle of Las Vegas?
Because he wants to be in the middle of Las Vegas.
Because he wants to be. That's right.
He wants to be where he wants to be.
He wants to play.
And he's got enough money in the entire world to be anywhere he wants. So he can snap his fingers and demand anything he wants.
Now,
which
as
is our
sheriff,
police department.
Now, as sheriff, my duty is to the constituents in this county. Okay. I don't care about any Saudi prince. I don't care about anybody else except the people in this county. They are number one. So everybody else is secondary.
You want to protect them, and you want to protect their tax dollars as well.
Exactly. So, what do we have? We have this whole entire SWAT team surrounding him.
Yeah.
Target-rich person for terrorists or for the coup, the people that are doing the coup, and there it is. The slaughter was a diversion because they couldn't get to that prince. They couldn't get to that prince. And there was more than one. They want to say it's more this one shooter. Oh, come on, give me a break.
There was only one shooter.
No.
So someone told me there's bullets coming this way and bullets coming that
horizontal.
way. Yes.
Yeah, not from the 32nd floor. No. 4th floor of the Mandalay Bay from the Tropicana.
I don't know if I want to ask this question. I don't know if I really want to know the answer. I do want to know the answer.
And the Four Seasons, Tropicana, and the Mandalay Bay 4th floor. That's where the bullets came from. That's where the shooting came from. Okay.
But this has never come out.
Of course not.
So it's come out right now.
Because why? Why? It's political. It's all political. And
so my question at the very beginning was why was this all covered up, and why did all this? Because there's too many places.
Because they don't want the people to know that the federal government was behind this before, during, and after. Okay?
So how did this particular man get, it's a silly question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. How did he get all his ammunition, all his guns and everything in the room? Because everybody turned a blind eye, right?
Well, did he really?
But did he really have them up there?
And was he really up there?
Oh.
We don't know. Because everything is so riddled with lies, we don't know if that's a staged picture of Paddock with all his blood and everything. He was just a patsy. He's nothing. Okay? The real problem was the terrorists. Okay? The terrorists that wanted that Saudi prince. I mean, that Saudi prince, they took him away. They cut off his beard. It looks like they cut him off with a bushwhacker.
Wow.
They cut off his beard to disguise him. And they even walked him through the Tropicana. Okay? You have film of him walking
through the
with the SWAT team around him. Okay, and while everybody else
where is he now?
Oh, who knows? Well, I heard that he had a funeral, but that you never know. You never know nowadays.
I'm saying, where is he now? Because
he had a funeral in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, well, that might not have been him.
That might not have been him. You never can be sure unless you attend that autopsy, which I have 140 times. Unless you see that autopsy,
That autopsy, exactly.
You'll never know. For sure.
This is all boiling down to the corrupt way cities, not only Vegas, but I'm going to say cities are run. I'm thinking of Chicago right now, because that has to be ludicrous what's going on there.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all kind of washed up and covered up. So there's just you coming out, running for sheriff. How many of you can do this? And how can it be changed? How can it become...
All I need to do is be elected sheriff. I can change it. Oh, yes.
You have that confidence.
Oh, I do.
Now, if you do that in this town, okay?
Yeah.
You could actually pass the buck around and do it in other towns.
That's correct.
And because, as you said before, you're retired now, people actually call you to find out what's going on. How do you know what's going on?
Because I have sources still in the police department, in the coroner's office, in the FBI, and in the Secret Service, and in the BATF. I worked with them for
I'm
years.
going to ask you a crazy question right now.
Go ahead.
So if you have these people behind helping you, and then the other people have other people helping them,
right?
It's the same thing, except yours is clean.
Mine's clean.
Yes, that's the difference.
Theirs is dirty.
They're both doing the same thing, but yours is clean.
Right.
So how do you get this word out that you know, this is really what you're going to do, and that they can really trust you?
Because I have constantly said the same thing to you as I've said to everybody else. I have it in writing. You have it on my website, clarkcountysheriff2018.com. It's all written down, and everything that I've told you is on record.
It's all on record, so we're not saying anything out of context.
No.
Nothing's a lie, nothing's a cheat, nothing's anything. Right, Kona? I got my producer.
That's right.
He's fascinated by this story. But
I can go on and on until you can't believe some of the stuff that they've done.
Oh my God. What other thing that really has sort of
really done it to me?
And really, yes,
Okay.
really done it.
LVMPD.
Then I'll let him go, I think. I'm not sure.
Oh, you'll love this one.
All right.
LVMPD Corrections Officer Kevin Scott Daly, November 2007.
Okay.
He doesn't show up for work. Now, that's a big thing. No call, no show. An officer not showing up for work with no call, no show is a big thing.
Okay.
Okay. No investigation. No missing persons. And the investigators would be...
Nothing went on record?
Nothing.
And how many days was this for?
Okay, well, again, listen how this goes.
You listen.
First week in November 2007.
Okay.
He doesn't show up. The next thing that happens, 3 weeks later, his personal vehicle is found out there by the usual body dumping ground over here by Lake Mead.
Okay. Yeah, yes, we all know that one.
We all know that. Henderson Police goes out there, just impounds the vehicle, and that's the end of it. Still no report, no investigation.
No missing thing, nothing. What about his wife and kids and everything?
We're getting to that. We're getting to it. You're a little bit. I know you're jumping.
Well, I'm excited. I want to know the story.
You don't even know the half of it. Anyway, so now the corrections officers and friends of Kevin Scott Daly, they're kind of concerned. Why isn't the police department doing something? Why isn't...
This is one of their own, though.
Right. If I was a sheriff, I'd be taking this place down brick by brick, finding out what happened.
Where is he?
Yeah. So...
You can't just vanish.
Just
Well,
wait.
can, I guess.
Just wait. So they got upset about this. The co-workers got upset, so they formed a volunteer search party that included corrections officers, police officers, their families, their friends, everybody. They were going to go out to where the vehicle was found, and they're going to just look for evidence. Well, they didn't have to look very far because 300 feet away was Kevin Scott Daly's severed head. Okay, now, that's big news. That would be nationwide.
Yes, that would be international news.
Zippo. Okay, what they did, Henderson Police went out there. It's their jurisdiction. They called Metro Police.
Yes.
And Metro Police sent out their intelligence section instead of the robbery homicide section, which I'm in. Okay, so...
So they didn't want you there?
No. So the intelligence section is just merely thugs for the sheriff. So anyway, they go out there and they threaten all the people in that volunteer search party. They say, you shut your mouth. No news, no radio, no TV.
So they controlled everything.
They controlled everything. And they said, we're in charge now, and you guys just move on, okay? And since 2007, Of course, they had the funeral for Kevin Scott Daly.
Well, they
December.
found his head. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's absolutely...
Yeah. So, but it gets better. It gets better. Hang on now. So, what happens next is they have the funeral December 5th, and they have a regular, but they don't tell you an obituary, and they don't tell you why and how. Okay, so the next thing that happens is I have a federal deposition in June of 2013. I put my federal lawsuit. I called my witnesses. One of the witnesses was a corrections officer that knew Kevin Scott Daly, and he decided he was going to bury his soul. So that's when we all found out about this.
Wow.
So that comes out. I'm the only cop in the room. I prepare letters, and I send them to the sheriff, I send them to the governor, to the senators.
So you're now investigating this whole thing.
I'm going to investigate.
You're going to want to know what's going on.
Yeah. And I sent it to the Justice Department, the FBI. I sent it to everybody asking for help.
Yeah.
Because my department is so dirty, I can't ask them for help.
Of course not.
Okay, so the only the only thing that happens is the FBI contacts me and asks for all my depositions. So they have it now. They have it, but that's in 2013. What's the date now? 2018?
2018.
Nothing.
Yes.
Zero. Okay, nothing's been done. But I continue on. I find out that the autopsy report done on Kevin Scott Daly was removed from the coroner's office, Clark County Coroner's office, 6 hours after it was put in. Okay? Then the teenage son now, who was only like 9 or so when this all happened, calls me up and he sees an article that I wrote in the Las Vegas Tribune about this case.
And it is his father.
His father, they told him that his father had committed suicide. It's kind of tough to cut your own head off, but I'm sure, who knows. So anyway, he tells me, and I said, well, how old are you? And he goes, 17. And I went, when you're 18, you contact, and we'll go visit the police department to see what kind of report they have. We'll go visit the coroner's office to see what kind of report they have, and we'll visit the Henderson Police Department. See, there isn't anything because it's all been
covered up.
Okay, now that's when the action has to start. Okay, and that's where the complaint comes because what is wrong?
Yeah.
Well, I did a little more digging. And I don't know if you heard about the HOA scandal that was here.
Yes,
okay.
I have.
Well, Kevin, back in 2000.
That's the homeowners association.
Yes, homeowners association.
I know what that is all about.
So old Kevin, he gets involved in this because he got a medical lawsuit money because he took his child into the office, the pediatrician's office, and the child died. So he gets $2 or $3 million, who knows? And the HOA people, they just glommed on him because there's some money. So he invested in that. It went to pieces. The FBI got involved, and they turned him. Now, he'd already quit once he got all this money. He quit the police department. They turned him into an informant, and then they told him to go back to work in the police department to gather more information. Well, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that he's turned, and he's now a snitch for the police, for the FBI. So what happens? He's working there less than a year, and they put him in the jail, controlled and confined.
Of course. They
put him in the jail to work, then he doesn't show up for work in November of 2007. And it all starts all over. Now, the wife calls me up and tells me not to investigate any further, not to do anything anymore. She doesn't want to have anything to do with this.
Because maybe she was threatened or something. Who knows?
Who knows?
I mean, I'm quite sure that would happen.
I'm sure.
But these are many, many stories that you tell.
Oh, yeah.
There's hundreds of them. I mean, we've opened up a little bit to the police department. I'm one of these people that I don't understand it. I don't know where it goes, and I'm sure it'll all be sorted out with people like you.
If I'm elected sheriff.
Yes. So if you understand his stories and where he's coming from, then vote for him. Otherwise, do what you need to do, I guess.
That's right.
But you have a good story.
Again,
how can they vote for you?
How? June the 12th.
June 12th.
June the 12th is the primary. Yes. I have to make that primary.
Okay.
There's only going to be 2 people that are going to go to the general election in November.
Okay, so don't forget, Gordon Martinez, I'm sorry. Gordon Martinez, don't forget, if you like his stories and where his heart is and what he wants to do, you've got to vote for him.
One more thing, please.
All right. One more thing.
I'm going to donate my entire salary to my two favorite charities, Opportunity Village and Forgotten Not Gone. That's a veterans group that helps prevent suicides.
So, oh, wonderful. I love that. That's wonderful. He's got a great heart, and all his money is going to go to these two charities. And absolutely, it's been such a pleasure, Gordon.
It's been a pleasure too, ma'am.
Oh, what the stories they are.
Oh,
but,
you don't know the half of it.
I'm sorry I don't, because sit here probably all day interviewing. Be a week long.
Put on another tape.
Maybe put another tape on. Thank you so much.
You bet.
We'll be right back. Vegas Live with Ninon. Absolutely amazing.